Thunder sound.
Yeah.
Behold, brothers and sisters,
Gather round as we lament the loss of our dear civilization.
this is Blurry Photos.
To those who are hearing this in the far distant future, perhaps alien archaeologists, this represents the pinnacle of mankind's achievements.
Repent! Repent and be saved! For lo, I am David Flora.
And I am the broken remains of David Stacko.
I never have an adjective for myself, and I do it to myself every time. Every time I have every opportunity to call myself something, and I just say my name.
Well, you don't spend as much time thinking about yourself as I do. You're a victim of your well-adjustment. Not me. I can't do anything but think of cool adjectives for me.
My world's coming to an end.
Oh, you and me, brother. You and me both. Am I right?
One of these episodes, I'm going to strong arm in an adjective in
Post-production.
So it's going to be like, "Lo, everyone, I'm the magnanimous David Flora."
Please let your amygdala do the post-production.
Hey, you guys!
Oh, man. Well, you better hurry. Because,
Not much time left.
tick-tock.
Hope everyone's doing all right in their final days.
In these, the waning hours of this dream we've called a life.
That's right. This podcast's huge.
Giant.
Huge.
It's a popular thing, and we work really hard to pick at the weirder corners of the weird tapestry. But this we cannot ignore.
No, this is so ubiquitous in culture and our modern age of all the flashes and beeps and bloops, and you can't sneeze on a chicken without hearing about the
You
apocalypse.
can't swing a dead cat without hearing about the Armageddons.
So that's right. This is our Apodcalypse episode.
Oh, that is good. That doesn't count, though. You still owe me puns later.
I got you.
All right.
I'll pay you in spades, my friend.
You'll wish I didn't have them. Yeah, so this week we are discussing in glorious, miraculous, two-part Omnivision.
Now in Technicolor.
But that's entirely up to you and the ability of your imagination to imagine what we're saying in color.
And in more than 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
Perhaps even more than 3.
Whoa.
Yeah, let's jump in this thing. As you said, 2-parter, so we got a lot of ground to cover.
Oh man, and this is huge. This is it. This is us explaining why you will not be here in a month's time.
The apocalypse, that's the old familiar term for everyone, I think.
Yep.
The apocalypse refers to a revelation of something hidden. That's a classic meaning, or something of a hidden meaning. Today, it's pretty commonly referring to prophecies about an end time.
Yeah. Usually, and believe me, we're going to get into everything else, usually a biblical in nature.
Yeah. Yeah, biblical, some kind of religion.
Yeah.
Apocalypticism is a fostering of the belief that the world will end very soon.
Also the next album by Lady Gaga.
Right. And probably within one's own lifetime.
Yeah. Everyone is positive that they're the last people in line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we are not. And this, one of the interesting things that I've learned about this, we're not like the chosen one. Like, it's every single generation has dealt with this crushing belief that we are the last people on Earth.
Right. I want you. It makes you wonder, though, if there was a time, it's just not recorded, that people were sitting around like, man, life's good, nothing to worry about here.
Yep.
Just gonna work, retire, learn an instrument.
I think things will just keep continuing as they are.
Yep, no change is imminent.
Hey, help me build this temple. We'll call it Gobekli Tepe. Boo.
This is all dealing with a thing called eschatology, which is the study of the end times It's concerned with what are believed to be the final events of history or the ultimate destiny of humanity.
Eschatology. That is a word. If you drop it in the office, you are instantly an expert.
Yep.
No one knows it, and when you say it, you claim the right. So clip and save.
That's right. A lot of times it'll pertain to a prophecy, a messiah, death, judgment, reunion with the divine.
Which is another way of saying death
Yeah.
and judgment.
A lot of apocalyptic literature deals with large-scale change. It also can deal with the end of reality as we know it, the start of something new in terms of living or thinking or existing. These come via war or violent destruction, a deity's intervention, a confrontation between good and evil, or a change in consciousness, if you want to raise your vibration.
Yeah. This is everyone's big free ticket for ascension.
Yeah, there you go. Or, if you're the wicked, your ticket to descension.
Blah, blah, red light, honking horn, and now you don't understand why you're going down a slide, and it's getting hotter and hotter and more humid. It's not even a dry heat.
Oh, that's the worst.
That's
You're
right.
just going to end up in Florida. Just kidding. I lived in Florida for a while.
So you're not kidding at all.
The vast majority of eschatologies see the apocalypse as something good, in the sense that it changes or cleanses things for a better age to come.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I mean, I see their perspective on that. I mean, the Christians had the millennial age, and there's like a cleansing kind of. There's this repeated theme of a cleansing of the earth, or reductionism to a simpler time.
Right.
But I think that anyone who got what they quote-unquote wanted would be sorely disappointed by what's in the box.
I'm going to go through, if you've got your seatbelt on, I'm going to go through a list of modern apocalyptic scenarios.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
And when you say modern, what do you mean by that?
I mean things that could happen right now to us.
Okay.
At any time. All right, you ready?
I'd like to believe I am, but probably not.
Probably not. Nuclear warfare, pandemic disease, alien attack, impact of a celestial object, cybernetic revolt, technological singularity, dysgenics, divine judgment, climate change, resource depletion, ecological collapse, and the inevitable Nazis from Hollow Earth. Any of which could happen right now.
I'd like to thank you, first of all, for editing out all of my sobbing. I did not realize things were that bad. It's been 3 days, and now I think we're ready to continue.
You can't hear it, but I've grown a beard.
No, they can hear it. Yeah, that is one of my... When in the course of researching this, and as anyone listening to this can imagine, the internet is built for two things. The first and foremost, as always, is pornography. The second of all is to catalog the ways and means by which our society either could, should, will, or will be saved from its demise.
Right.
I chose personally to kind of research more of the things on your list that you just read. The things that are very, not only could happen, but in some cases are extraordinarily likely to happen.
Yep.
I like the more tangible threats to my existence and the existence as a society. And so those are the things that I like to look at. I did more of my research on the things that you just listed, as opposed to like the religious or spiritual, your more traditional apocalypti.
Right. The working man's apocalyptic scenarios.
These are the things I researched aren't your grandparents' apocalypses. These are new and hip. Some of them drink Go-Gurt. Do you drink Go-Gurt or eat it or just choke on it?
Why do you get near it?
Because you're cool and you're on the go. You probably have 2 skateboards.
So, nuclear warfare, we all know. We know it. We love it. We're
Right.
trying to listen to all the alien people tell us not to do it. Pandemic disease, they get pretty scary with that, saying what could happen and how fast and...
Oh, yeah, the transmission rates, the disease modeling. It's a weird balancing act, because people, when they look at the idea of a pandemic virus or bacteriophage or something like that, when people look at those things, they kind of, without meaning to, they bring their luggage to the party. If people want to be afraid of it, they want to be like, oh no, we could die at any second, if that's kind of their aim, it's very easy to say, well, look at the Spanish flu epidemic in the early 20th century. So bad that it's actually not in history books. People just were done with it, and people don't talk about it anymore. But the death rates are phenomenal for it. And one of the reasons why it was so very bad is it was in the run-up to World War I, where every large country in Europe and in the U.S. were putting all of their people together. They were barracksing soldiers and moving them around on trains, and so there was the world
was getting more interconnected too.
Exactly. So while the Spanish flu was a terrible disease, human beings were literally doing everything they could to help it by putting people into these concentrated areas and then redistributing them to more other concentrated areas. Right. I honestly couldn't even think of a more effective way of distributing a disease.
Also, you're just coming off of, in the Civil War, when they were just figuring out to wash their hands and tools and stuff and hygiene,
And the race to isolate the cause of the Spanish flu is fascinating, and I've read a bunch about it. I love reading medical history, and it's a cool, fascinating subject on these guys who research these diseases. And so much of it happened at the turn of the 20th century. But you have to balance those things. Yes, we are far more mobile now than we ever were before. But we also have a far better understanding of what makes us sick. There's no guessing. We know very quickly if things are bacterial or virological or even prions. That's a pretty new one.
Prions?
Prion disease.
Is that a Toyota?
It is. It's what you get for driving hybrid cars. Notable side effects are a smug sense of self-satisfaction.
And odorless flatulence.
But like Creutzfeldt-Jakob, that's a new classification disease. But our ability to diagnose, like our technology allows us such a faster response to diseases that while there are things that are still terrifying, I mean, we still have outbreaks of Ebola or Marburg, these awful hemorrhagic fevers around the world, but we are far better at fighting them than we were before. We would never in a million years say, oh, there's a dangerous flu strain. Well, let's just put all the soldiers here and we'll burn some naphtha candles and hope that gets rid of it.
Here, have a pet monkey.
Right. we're so the risks of a more mobile society, a global mobile society, are largely balanced. I mean, we have a World Health Organization. We have individual health organizations that do a very good job of cooperating with each other. So while it is very possible that something could spread so quickly through a major metropolitan area, I'm by no means saying, oh, we're safe, that could never happen. We're much better at fighting it. And I feel like that very strongly mitigates the effect of virus, whose means of progression. I mean, we know how viruses replicate, and we can very quickly determine how effective a virus is and how it does propagate itself. So we're pretty good at identifying those things early on and sequestering them. Now there are things that, like I said, prion disease, that's very new to us. That's 10 years old, 15 years old. Something like that, there's always something that could come out of left field that we've never seen before.
Or mutate?
Or mutate, absolutely, like a new strain of something. But I think that we're at a much higher risk, especially in the U.S., of a badly done inoculation campaign or something like that, which is not to say you shouldn't get inoculated. You should get your shots.
There was a recent outbreak of meningitis from that.
Absolutely, yeah. The meningitis is a good example of that. I think that we're at more risk from ourselves than we are from the natural world.
Yeah.
Which is what the rest of this list discusses. I mean, things like nuclear war are a constant threat, but it's almost its own breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, we have been, as a global society, as a species, on the brink of nuclear war a handful of times. And we just know how it ends. Everybody knows how it ends. Which isn't to say at some point, hopefully never, that some complete lunatic would get his hands on such a weapon.
Yeah.
But every person knows how that ends. For everyone. Everyone can now blow up everyone, so there's no point in blowing up anybody.
Right.
So I don't...
The hipster thing would be to be cool.
Yeah.
Just chill.
I was never like a particularly globally concerned kid, but I do remember being in junior high and high school right after the dissolution of the Soviet Union going, they did track down all those trucks with nukes on them, right? They know where all those are. Because things were real loosey-goosey for a couple of years. And I remember being really concerned about that.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
What do you think about the next one on the list, Alien Attack?
Alien Attack would be awesome. Yeah, I said it. Alien Attack would be awesome because, hey, aliens. Other things that would be awesome about it, it wouldn't last long because we wouldn't last long.
True.
Unless they wanted to enslave us. Can't imagine they would. Seems like a lot of work. But on the other hand, it's entirely possible. I mean, we're functionally confined to this planet right now. Mm-hmm. We can attempt to go to other places. And what's to keep an alien from quote-unquote enslaving us, just saying, hey, you're all ours now. You just can't leave the planet.
Yeah.
You know, it could just be a territorial grab.
Yeah.
You know, what if we were to, you know, conquer a country of people that refuse to leave their town? Then you just announce that they're yours, and then no one in the town cares.
Yeah.
That could go so many weird ways.
Sure.
I don't...
Well, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Impact of a celestial object.
I don't think that would happen.
Okay.
I mean, the possibility is always there.
Mm-hmm.
This planet has been around for a very long time. We've had plenty of time to clear our orbital path. While we do historically and have received, 6 extinction level impacts to this planet. And I know that, especially right now, I read a whole article about this, how we are uniquely ill-equipped to deal with something like that. Were we to locate a large object heading straight for Earth, I think they would say, well, we have maybe about 6 months warning on that. Mm. And as it stands right now, we actually don't really have the capability of launching something to intercept that. We don't have. We're kind of between space programs at the moment. But we don't really have the capability of intercepting that. I think that there are certain things that don't merit concern because either they could absolutely happen or they absolutely will never happen.
Yeah.
Alien attack being one of them. Impact by a meteor. I mean, these are the things that are just guided by weird fate. Might happen right now. It could be happening as we speak and we just don't know it yet. Yeah. Or it could never, ever, ever happen.
In our lifetimes or ever?
I mean, just ever.
I mean, that's true. Space is big.
Right, space is inordinately big. And these impacts are probably fairly common in the early planetary formation, but a planet does sweep out its orbit. And now, granted, in the gigantic celestial universe as it is, we're not static. We don't just keep going in the same circle. We don't keep literally treading over the same ground. Right. You know, the galaxy itself is in orbit around a universal core. You know, everything's moving. Mm-hmm. So we are always in a different area. But regionally, I think we've largely swept the big players out of the field.
Yeah.
And there are some efforts. It gets continually funded worse and worse, but there are efforts to detect near-Earth objects, things that will potentially mess with our lives.
Right.
But I don't put... that's not one of the things that I concern myself so much with.
Yeah, Hollywood does.
Yeah, well...
It does it for you.
Yeah, but we fixed it.
With Morgan Freeman.
That's right. Oh, yeah. What was it? So wait, which one did Morgan Freeman say?
I think Deep Impact.
Deep Impact, President Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
That was a great one. The scene where Taya Leone gets obliterated on the beach. It was awesome. I like Taya Leone.
Yeah.
But yeah, Armageddon, they did so much good scientific research when putting that movie together. And I was really surprised. I mean, they really dotted all the T's and crossed all the I's.
Lowercase J's.
Yeah, that was a great, terrible movie. I will say one thing that they got really solid on Armageddon is Russian cosmonauts are absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
When I was in Antarctica, the Russians have a base there called Vostok. Mm-hmm. And one of the rules, one of their training guidelines for cosmonauts is they have to do like this really long stint at the Russian Antarctic station, Vostok, which is not an easy station to live at. And all of those guys come out of that thing bug house nuts. And when I was in McMurdo, when I was shipping back home, there was a bunch of these Russian guys there who were also shipping back home. They had just finished their prolonged stint. And it took like 24 hours for them all to get confined to quarters for just getting drunk and just raising hell and being absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the part that they got right in Armageddon. That's my little 2-bit speech about Russian cosmonauts.
How about cybernetic revolt?
Oh, see, that's one that I like, because that's one that we're building. We are working so hard to make that happen.
Yep.
We are, I mean, and this is absolutely in our lifetimes. Absolutely. These drones.
Yep.
We don't have enough pilots for drones right now. And the way you fix that is by programming the drones to pilot themselves. We already have autopiloting drones.
Yeah.
And they, like the beginning of every great movie, oh no, we have like an override. We have a shutdown.
Right.
It's absolutely going to happen. I mean, and when I say within our lifetimes, even if your lifetime is 10 more years, you're going to see it. Like, we're going to see autonomous robots, military robots, destroying targets. And by targets, I mean people.
Right. Terminator style.
Absolutely. And that, I don't think that they're going to become sentient. I don't think it would be like a Skynet thing.
Yeah.
I mean, AI, it kind of falls under that. I think that there will come a point at which AI is a genuine threat to us.
Yeah.
But what I see is when you create a bunch of computer-based autonomous systems, someone will find a way to hack that. Someone will find a way to gain control of that illicitly. And people, lots of people...
His name is John Connor.
Right. And people will die. Lots of people will die as a result of that. And I think that the better you arm these things, the more people that will die.
Now, on the heels of this, technological singularity.
That's the good one. That's the best quote-unquote apocalypse there is. I mean, when there's no... Like, the singularity... capital S, that people talk about. If you've never heard about it, it's really cool to just Google it and just read a few articles here and there, is the belief that we are going to, within the next 100 years of our life, or maybe longer, I don't know, that humans and technology and the internet and all these things will fuse in some manner.
Right.
Whether we find a way to actually download a consciousness into an artificial network, or we bring the network into ourselves by means of implant that we can interface with it within our own skulls, where there is no necessary distinction between you and your computer and your network, where your body is a largely non-necessary thing.
Right.
That we are all electrical signals, we travel where we want. It's this melding of man and technology that people refer to as the singularity, which sounds pretty damned cool to me. Why that would be considered an apocalypse, I'm not entirely certain, but I know that anyone who fights it would have to be rounded up and killed or made into slaves. So, people, get on the winning team now.
Be on the right side of history, folks.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a difficult call to make.
How about dysgenics?
Yes! I did not know the phrase dysgenics until today, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that is the belief that over time, through, and in some cases it's poor diet, like the way we eat, the way we comport ourselves. Fluoride. But we are changing in for the worse. We every generation is genetically worse off than the one before it through damage, spray tanning, all these things, that we are becoming less functional genetically. Like our actual genome is getting degraded over time.
Right.
I am conflicted on that. I think that, what do you think?
With this one, it's weird to put it in the apocalypse bucket because it's not something that happens quickly.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds like I probably just shot myself in the foot because it's on the list, but I was taking the list from a site that was, just listing all the possibilities. And I think they were probably thinking long haul on all this stuff. What are all the things that are happening in modern day? And this could, it could really wreak havoc upon humanity by basically making the population just functionally inept.
Now, and it's such a hard thing to isolate. I mean, is that a cultural ineptitude? Is that a lack of overall, like an idiocracy kind of thing?
That's, I think, what it is. Yeah, it's plants love electrolytes. It's what makes them grow.
Electrolytes make you strong. Plant hard. I would watch a show called Ow My Balls. But that's our thing. Is that a social problem? Is that an actual biological issue? My belief is that one of the great things about having the ability to be self-aware, as humans are, that lets us do virtually anything we feel like, good or bad or indifferent, I think that takes the reins of evolution. I don't think that we need to worry about our genetic evolution anymore because we can literally correct it.
Oh, yeah.
We are the only animals on Earth that can say, you know what, this is how we're doing it from now on, because we don't like the fact that we only have 5 fingers on each hand, and 7 would be way cooler. Yeah. We can literally fix that if we're so inclined. So I think if left to our own devices, yes. And there are some sort of examples of that. North and South Korea, the chronic lack of food in North Korea means that their median height, their median weight, for both men and women is significantly lower than for South Korean men and women. Yeah. Just so you get owing to whatever circumstances, in this case a terrible government, but that there are these regionalized genetic differences. And genetic isn't even the right word. You know, if these kids had all been fed properly growing up, they would be stronger and taller and smarter. There is also a lot of cognitive problems that come from malnourishment. And so I think that you're going to see those things crop up around the world. I don't think that anytime in the near future we're all going to join hands and fix these things.
Or all going to join hands and turn the Jersey Shore on.
Exactly. I mean, I think that we here in good old North America will spend more money on penis pills and things that burn fat, and people in South Central Asia are still going to need polio vaccines and things like that.
How about divine judgment? We're going to go over that here.
Yeah, I think that's really, I think you did a lot of great work on divine judgment. I have done everything I can in my life to incur the wrath of the Lord our God, whoever you consider that to be. So I do consider that something of an inevitability, but I think it's going to be doled down on a much more case-by-case basis. Yeah, I think that I will be singled out for my crimes and punished accordingly.
How about climate change?
That, again, is something that is absolutely happening. Bad news. Sorry, everybody. That's happening.
Yep. Sea levels are rising.
Yeah.
Ice is melting.
And the climate change is a magnificently sticky wicket in that it actually starts to eke into some of our other apocalypses. Apocalypti.
Sure.
Not only do you get the problems of coastal flooding, crazy rainstorms, the amount of energy, the way that changes the weather patterns on the earth. You get crazy storms, which we've already started to get, coastal flooding. We will lose cities. Portions of the land will be gone forever.
See you, New Orleans.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Atlantic City.
And then the secondary effects of that, when you get a lot of coastal flooding and you get the temperate zone on the globe becoming broader, it is now warmer farther north and farther south of the equator.
More rain.
You get more rain, but that also increases the range of disease-carrying insects. Now, this is actually what I studied in college. Of the many times that I wasted in the terrible classes I took, what I ended up with was a degree in insects that carry infectious disease. And so you see things like dengue fever, yellow fever, malaria, these things spreading. West Nile encephalitis, absolutely. That's like the most recent fun thing to hit the U.S. But these diseases have not been eradicated. They are at best regionally controlled, but they still kill millions of people. It is a huge problem.
Yeah.
And when these diseases start showing up in areas that are not equipped to deal with it anymore, that used to, the Tennessee Valley Authority drained the entire basin around the turn of the century, eliminating yellow fever from a huge port from the southeastern U.S. When those diseases come back, those areas that haven't seen them in forever have no ability to combat them. And so you get huge amounts of deaths from that. And these domino effects from a huge change in climate are so far-reaching. That's just one example.
Yeah.
Even geologically, the redistribution of that much mass, of a melting polar ice cap, of that much mass, literally deforms the Earth itself and changes the manner in which the tectonic plates move. It can actually trigger huge cataclysmic earthquakes. And again, those things happen on a geological timescale. We'll never see, tectonic plate fly to this direction. South America and Africa aren't going to crash into each other.
Right.
But you will see more earthquakes. Those things will happen literally as a result of global warming.
Mm-hmm. And the holes at the poles will open up for sure.
Absolutely. And we'll all ride our kayaks to safety. I can already taste that giant grape they've got waiting for me.
We also have resource depletion and ecological collapse, which I think go hand in hand in a way.
Oh, absolutely. I think that China has had for such a long time limits on their own nation's population to keep the number of people down. Very few other countries do,
Right.
whatsoever, and we just keep breeding, and we are already over pillaging the planet. It is this planet is not an internal free lunch buffet.
Right.
And I think that, I mean, maybe it's cynical. I don't think we'll ever stop. I read a great book by Jared Diamond, the guy who wrote Gun, Germs, and Steel. He wrote a book called Collapse, and it's about different societies historically on the earth and how they collapsed, like what brought them to their end. They were very stable for hundreds of years, and then they ended. Why and how that came about. And one of the really interesting things is the Polynesian Islands in the South Pacific. They had a huge, these giant boats that were the backbone of their society. It allowed them to travel between the islands. It allowed them to fish in deeper waters to bring in more food. But they chopped too many of them down. This one very specific species of palm tree, which is now extinct, that would grow very fast, and they could make these giant boats out of it. And he raises this amazing question of, it's like, what was the guy thinking as he cut the last one down? As he looked around this whole island and saw but one tall tree left, and cut it down. And that, I think, is a perfect example of how people are. People just think it'll work out. They just think that, something will come around. The world owes us this.
Yeah.
This can't be the last one. But it is, and there are the last one of everything. And it's, if you haven't read it, it's a great book. But it is a tragic failing of human beings, regardless of what country or part of the globe you're from, that we just don't stop. We just don't figure it out. Consume. Absolutely. Yeah. And while there are portions of the population that are very concerned with that and trying to save it, and the highest of fives to them, there are still more people who are poor and desperate that just, maybe that last guy, he's not a villain. Maybe as he cut that tree down, he was crying, but his wife needs food and his kids are starving, and if he has this boat, he can go get more fish.
Yeah.
It's not even a Captain Planet. Like, there's no super villains.
It's not black
here.
and white. It never is.
There's no super villains. There's just poor people who are doing whatever is available. Nobody grows up in Kenya going, God damn those elephants. If it's the last thing I do, to my last breath I shall hunt thee. They're people who just need food and money. They need to survive in this world, and they end up doing whatever they can to do it. And that means that there's no more rhinos.
Yeah. Now, this obviously is not a problem for the Nazis in the Hollow Earth that will eventually come out in their advanced aircraft and destroy the world for the fatherland. Yeah, you know what? I think that one thing that happened when we recorded our Hollow Earth episode, it was actually a three-parter. The third part talking about the time the Nazis invaded the Hollow Earth, completely took it over, killed the giants, and turned all the giant fruit into poisonous bombs. They bred the super huge bats to drop upon major metropolitan areas. Immediately after recording that, we were visited by some reptilian Nazis who made it quite clear to us that people that we know and love would be injured to the point of death were we to release part 3, so we didn't do that. Right. So I can say on pretty good authority, Hollow Earth Nazis, that's happening. Oh, you're going for it now, huh?
Well, they showed us. They showed us all their plans. That's a lie. There's no such thing as that.
Oh, now you're redacting it.
Well, I just got an email from them. Ping!
So that's those are all the modern apocalyptic scenarios. Well, the major, I'm sure there are some crazy ones that are out there that we haven't even.
There's one other one that is phenomenal. That is not so imminent, or maybe it is. Mm-hmm. Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah, that super volcano.
Yeah, they were doing some work. They had some geologists at Yellowstone years back trying to determine how, where the volcano is and where the caldera is, and they couldn't find the caldera, and they thought, well, this is really unique. We've got this huge volcanic area, but we can't find the caldera. Some swell folks from NASA sent over some of their satellite imagery because they thought it was cool looking. There's so many sulfur dioxides, and there's yellows and everything, and they just thought, hey, it was literally, hey, we thought you guys think these pictures were pretty cool, you could make postcards out of them. They send over their satellite photography, and these guys, it was like the really great moment in all those movies where someone just goes, Mother of God. It turns out the entirety of Yellowstone National Park is the caldera of the volcano. And not until they saw the satellite imagery did they realize the size and scope of the volcano that they're dealing with. Now, were this to erupt, it would cover all of North America and approximately 1 centimeter of ash. Everyone within, say, 1,000 miles, which is a fairly big radius, dead. That would kill all vegetation in North America, nuclear winter for decades. That would be as close. That would be a very near thing. That would come pretty close to end of the world.
Right.
That would, and it geologically erupts about every 600,000 years or so.
Right, and
her last eruption was 640,000 years ago. So on the bad side, she's definitely due for a booming. On the plus side, there's a lot of geologists believe that part of what makes Yellowstone such a fascinating area, the geysers, is that it's a continual venting of these volcanic gases and pressure. So they think that maybe it's far less likely to erupt in the manner it used to before because it has a more regular venting schedule.
Right.
So it's a heck of a thing to realize that you've been living on the back of a giant, terrifying volcano.
It is terrifying indeed. Now, for those of you who don't know what a caldera is, you think of your classic volcano as, shooting up into the sky, and then having the little lake of lava, in the ring and stuff, and then you throw in a virgin in. No, this one is actually a massive underground cavern that was hollowed out for one reason or another, but then filled with magma. And the pressure of all that has just been, just continually builds in this cavern, almost like a balloon. So you don't want to drill into it to relieve the pressure, because then it would be like sticking a pin in a balloon.
I just needed to relieve the pressure in the balloon.
Right. So you got to find a way to untie it from the bottom. It's not going to happen. So that's why this is so freaky, because this it throws the world into one of these, like you said, nuclear winters. Where there's just a cloud in the sky that blocks out the sun, which adds, if anything didn't get killed in the initial heat blast or the ash.
Oh yeah.
Then you've got the clouds that will blot out the sun, so nothing grows.
Poisonous sulfur gas.
The gas that comes along with it.
Poisoning the rivers.
It's one of the biggest cases in the old worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And sadly enough is one of the more probable ones too. If you ever read the book or saw the movie The Road, something like that would be how life would probably end up.
Yeah.
If you haven't read or seen that and you have a weak stomach, if you have If you have a medium stomach, I would advise against.
Or if you're a little bit down in the dumps, stay away from it. This is the part where we just review movies now.
Here we go. What's the name of the guy? Carson McCullum or something?
Cormac McCarthy.
Carson
McCullough.
Caroline. Yeah, Cormac McCarthy wrote the Road. It's pretty gut-wrenching.
It will harrow your soul.
Anyway, it's set in post-apocalyptic times where it's just mostly all ash, rain all the time, and it's pretty sad. So that's some modern apocalypse for you. Let's get in the old time machine and go back to talk about some eschatologies of the old major religions.
Oh man, there's that word again. I'm not kidding, people. Learn the word eschatology. Drop it on your friends, because this is a huge office conversation.
Yep. You're going to be talking about it.
You drop this, and people are just like, oh, man, he knows.
Yeah,
or she knows. Probably statistically, from what we've heard from our viewer feedback, she knows.
Buddhist eschatology. Buddhist eschatology speaks of the appearance of the next Buddha, who's named Maitreya, preceded by an age of about 500 years, which in the Dark Ages was up to 5,000 years, of societal degeneration, which means greed, lust, poverty, ill will, violence, murder, things like that will be prevalent. Mm-hmm. Sound familiar?
Yeah, exactly.
And everything will be forgotten in terms of Buddhist teachings. The Dharma, the Buddha himself will even be forgotten. So when that all played its hand, Maitreya will come back and go on to teach Dharma and bring enlightenment back to this plane of existence to establish an earthly paradise. Sounds good. Apparently, the scripture, I read something about the scripture concerning Maitreya is very much unlike any of the other scriptures in Buddhist literature. So there's a thought that it may have been added afterwards, or maybe it's been tampered with somehow to make it more apocalyptic. And I don't know. There's that weird
There's
thought.
somewhere a Buddhist at an editor's desk with a giant cigar going, nah, needs more pizzazz. We got to really reach out and grab them. Get their attention.
Where's that Parker kid? I need some photographs.
Editor Buddhists.
So the Buddha gave the Sermon of the Seven Sons, in which he described an apocalypse where 7 suns would appear, suns as in stars, like the sun, causing progressive ruin with each sun that appeared until the earth is basically engulfed by a vast inferno. So everything starts drying up, and everything starts wilting and dying, and then everything starts catching fire and basically melting into molten fire.
That's really depressing. Everything
Well,
and it's not even. It doesn't even have the sexiness of a giant meteor impact. It's like, no, it just gets warmer.
Yeah.
And it gets warmer. And it gets warmer. And then you die. But then it still keeps getting warmer.
Yeah. But that one has the number 7 in it, which I mark that on your old Post-it note.
Yeah, exactly. We will come back to that. I don't know if you ever heard that 7 is an important number, and none more important than in the end of days.
Right. A lot of these eschatologies, a lot of similarities between them. So just look out for patterns here. They're going to be coming at you.
Yeah, this is one of those kind of fun things where a lot of different cultures and religions have a very similar underlying logic to what's going on.
Yeah. So that's Buddhist eschatology.
Ooh. That had
Class it up a little.
Yeah, that had a very Eastern mystic sound to it that I enjoyed.
Let's go on to Hindu eschatology.
We're repeating the word so that you don't forget it. I'm not around here. Remember the word.
Seriously, say eschatology. So Hinduism believes that time is cyclical, consisting of cycles known as kalpas. And follow me here.
Okay.
One kalpa is 1,000 Mahayugas.
Word is made up.
A Mahayuga, if I'm getting this correctly, consists of 4 yugas, each broken down into separate sections, lasting many years, but different years, a descending order. Like the first one has 1,000,000.7 years, the next one has 1,000,000.3, the next one has like 800,000. Something, like. So there are four yugas like that.
Math, and I judge them for it.
And they total around 4.32 million years. That's a cycle of the yugas. They encompass a beginning of complete purity to descent into total decay. So the first yuga is when everything is pure and self-aware and great.
And it just gets worse every day.
And yeah.
How depressing is that?
It's believed we are in the last yuga right now, the Kali Yuga, and humankind will ultimately be destroyed after degenerating into war and ignorance. And then the cycle will start anew, where everyone will come out and it'll be great. But at that time, The final incarnation of Vishnu, who at that time will be called Kalki, will appear on a white horse, amassing an army of pious souls and destroying evil to begin Satya Yuga, the first of the Yuga cycles.
To reset it again.
Exactly.
So we're just right now just wallowing in our own filth.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is depressing.
According to some Hindu, I guess, math about it, we've still got a good 5,000 years to go in here. Some of them think we're right at the end of it, but some think that we've still got quite a ways.
We can still get a lot worse.
Right, and in the Satya Yuga, people live for 100,000 years. They don't really need... they feed on spiritual energy, they're one with everything. But then in the Kali Yuga, it degenerates down to where people live to be 20 years old at most. They're sexually mature at 5. They're living in trees and caves. And
that is such a depressing perspective, because no matter where you're at, it's just tomorrow's worse. Yesterday was better.
That's true.
Think about how enlightening it would be if they had flipped it.
Yeah.
They'd be we're just, we're here now, and man, but tomorrow's going to be better, and it's my job to make it better. Well, that's next podcast, Dave's problems with Hindus.
So the Yuga cycles are the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, the Dvapara Yuga, and the Kali Yuga. All right, great. That's Hindu eschatology.
Nice! I liked where you got with that one. I feel like I could do a little dance to it.
Let's talk about our friends in Islam and the eschatology that they have.
Yeah, I'm very interested to hear this, because I don't know anything about it, and I'll bet you it's fascinating.
Strangely enough, not that far off from the Christian and
no, that can't be right.
Sorry,
it's perfectly balanced and 100% opposed to the Christian perspective.
So it talks about Al-Qiyamah, or the Last Judgment, and that's described through 12 major signs, along with many minor signs of the coming judgment. Mm-hmm. Corruption and chaos reigns at the time of Al-Qiyamah. There will be a battle between Ad-Dajjal, who is, for all intents and purposes, the Antichrist, and the Mahdi, who is the Guided One, or the Redeemer of Islam, and Isa, who is Jesus. A resurrection.
No, wait. Let's just not blow past that signpost real quick. Do you mean literally Jesus, or their religious equivalent of Jesus?
Literally Jesus. They believe that Jesus didn't actually die on the cross. He was taken up into heaven, where he lives currently, and he's going to come back to help the Mahdi to deliver the Islamic faithful from Ad-Dajjal.
That is fascinating. I knew it. I knew I didn't know about it, and I knew I wanted to.
Yeah, they don't think he's the Messiah per se, but they think he's he's a great prophet. He's a cool guy. He's going to be the sidekick.
And when it all goes down, we're going to need him on our side. Someone kicks the door in on Jesus' offices and says, "Hey, we need you for one last mission." I told you I was out.
I told you I was out.
I haven't been down there for 2,000 years, and they want me now.
Jesus, Ad-Dajjal is here.
I know.
God.
I knew he'd come back someday.
They also have a resurrection of the dead and a judgment of the righteous and the wicked at that time, after it's all said and done.
Makes me feel kind of silly for fighting.
Here are some of the minor signs of the end times. There's a ton of minor signs, but
get pencils ready.
Here are some highlights. Men wear silky clothes and marry other men.
Ding.
Women are more numerous than men.
Ding.
Inanimate objects speak.
Ding.
Siri, tell me a joke.
I don't really know any good jokes. None, in fact.
You dirty whore. That was my phone talking.
But there's a small spirit in there, or at least a demon, right?
A djinn. So, some of the major signs. Again,
and I repeat, we're 4 for 4 minor signs. Mm-hmm. I did not realize that my telephone was a harbinger of the apocalypse.
What isn't anymore?
But when I saw the service contract, I can believe it.
Major signs. Mahdi appears on a white horse. The sun rises from the west. There's a trumpet sound, and humanity dies for 40 years. And then there's smoke in the sky for 40 days. And then a second trumpet sounds to resurrect the dead. And then they're judged.
So everyone's dead at the end of it. Then they all come back.
Yeah.
I need to read more about that because that's interesting.
It was really interesting to read about this stuff. And like I said, strikingly similar to a lot of other major religions, you know? But you got a white horse, which we have already heard. You've got trumpet sounds, which, dare I say, we'll hear later. Thunder sound.
Ominous.
So yeah, that's quickly Islamic. That'll make you think.
I thought that sound would remind me more of Aladdin, but it didn't.
Great. Let's go into Judaism.
Yeah.
The End of Days is called, and forgive me for the pronunciation, because a lot of places have what it's called. None of them have how to say it.
No phonetic spellings.
Aharet Hayamim.
I thought that sounded great.
Maybe. In which tumultuous events will overturn the old world order, creating a new world order.
What?
When God rules everything, and he is recognized by everyone. The Talmud states that the world as we know it will only exist for 6,000 years, beginning with Genesis in the Bible. That puts the end of time around 2,240. Got a ways to go. The main tenets of the end days. The Jews will return to Israel. God helps Israel defeat its enemies. A third temple in Jerusalem is built. A Jewish Messiah leads the people in a battle against Gog, king of Magog, at the Battle of Armageddon. Mm-hmm. The shofar sounds, which is a ram's horn. The dead are resurrected, and they are judged. That's basically it for...
I've been to a few funerals where they blew a shofar.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. So, again, we got a horn sounding.
Yeah.
You know, might as well be a trumpet. We get Armageddon in there. Gog and Magog. That one comes up some. The dead resurrected and judged.
Yeah, now the Gog and Magog, we're gonna come back around to that again later. Mm-hmm. When we get to the kissing cousin of Judaism, Christianity. Ever heard of it? But yeah, again, there's so many similarities here. It is a little. It's fascinating, and it's all. I mean, does it seem depressing at the same time that there is such an extraordinary amount of common ground, even theologically, across these beliefs?
Depressing.
Yeah,
yeah. Because this is such a point of contention for everyone. Mm-hmm. It's just. I don't know. It's like saying, I'm mad at you for wearing a T-shirt. My T-shirt is better.
Right. And the thing that is truly sad is that I would imagine both sides are like, yeah, we're at the end of the days, we have to raise an army to fight you. And they're like, that's what we're saying too. Like everyone thinks it's the other guy who they have to be fighting against.
Yeah, that's true. I went really quickly through these tenets, and here, of course, it's stretched out quite a bit within there, but these are the main highlights, and again, we see these over and over. They're the same things that come up a lot, and that's Jewish eschatology for you.
L'chaim. Yeah, that was awesome.
So,
what do you got next for us on our international globe-trotting tour of cultures?
How about staying in the Middle East and getting some Zoroastrianism?
Ooh, that's exciting. Are you sure that's how that's pronounced?
I've been told. So, this is the oldest eschatology in recorded history.
Oh, see, now there we go. So this one's right. This is the true one. This is the real one.
This is the basis for many of the major religions, Christianity, Judaism and Islam. The end of days happens when days are shorter. The land gets barren. Men are deceitful and vile. A dark cloud makes the whole sky night. And it will rain more noxious creatures than winter. There's a guy by the name of Salshunt, the man of peace, who battles the forces of evil and triumphs by condemning them to an eternal existence in molten metal. And the final judgment will then commence with a resurrection, and souls will be reunited with God to live in immortality.
That's amazing. I don't know anything about Zoroastrianism, but that's the oldest one, so it's the right one. That's the way it works, right?
This one we'll get into later. I love that this mega episode is going to birth so many babies of stuff to talk about later.
Yeah.
Zoroastrianism in particular is right along the lines of the Anunnaki, which I want to talk about eventually. The Anunnaki being creatures who may have created mankind to harvest gold for them.
Monoatomic gold.
Zoroastrianism is Mesopotamian. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a lot to this that we can cover later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love it when these things raise as many, if not more, questions than we put to rest.
But in this one, we get another resurrection. We get one dude coming in, saving the day, kind of thing.
Lone Ranger, sans Tonto.
I thought it was really interesting. They mention a dark cloud makes the whole sky night.
Yeah, you just like the smoke,
and it will rain more noxious creatures than winter. That sounds pretty nuclear winter to me.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So that's Zoroastrianism. Eschatology.
Okay, now I know that you just made that one up because I mean, was that an actual cultural Zoroastrian sound?
Part of it was Gangnam Style.
Oh, I thought there was a reason I started dancing.
Oddly enough, somebody has thrown out there that Gangnam Style was mentioned in a Nostradamus prophecy, that the horseman from the east will be followed by 9 zeros and the end will come, or something like that. And then it shows like him doing that little horse dance, and then 1 billion views on his video.
God.
I just stole the pie off the windowsill of crazy.
Oh, that is
we'll
awesome.
Get to it. I got one more, Norse eschatology.
Okay.
And before I think we should break and go crack into some of the heavy hitters.
That's right.
So Norse mythology, you've got a strong winter that comes on called Fimbulwinter, and that brings disorder and war to the people of Midgard, which is Earth, basically. And that happens just before Ragnarok. And Ragnarok is the twilight of the gods, or the end days of the gods.
Also the coolest sounding of all the ends of days.
Right. The gods all get together and battle against the forces of chaos, led by Loki and some monsters and giants and Jotun.
Don't forget the Jotun.
And basically, it's a huge fight. Everybody dies, and the world is torn asunder. The earth ends up sinking into the sea, and eventually land reappears. And there are a couple of surviving gods, and a man and a woman that survive to repopulate the earth. And they live in basically a golden time from then on.
That is unique. We have not heard that one yet.
Yeah, where it's almost like the beginning is put at the end for this one.
Yeah, it's just the reset of everything.
I love what happens in Norse mythology just in general, but for Ragnarok in particular, the final fight is just a mega.
Yeah, it's all your favorite stars in one big giant cage match.
It's awesome.
We're going to take the earth and submerge it into the sea. Sea.
But there's all kinds of imagery in there. You've got the Jormungandr, the world's serpent, comes out, and Thor kills it, and then it's noxious.
Thor versus Loki.
Venom.
Loki versus Jormungandr. Jormungandr versus Yarn. And Garm. See the flaming sword of Surtur. Mjolnir.
Yeah, so So that's pretty. That's one of the most badass.
That is
Apodcalypse.
the guy playing a guitar on a motorcycle of all of these that I've heard.
Also, not much to do with mankind. This is mostly gods in this.
Sorry, we wrecked your house with our brawl.
We're still alive. Can we crash you?
Yeah.
So that's Norse eschatology.
You put the guitar in it! Woo! Because it rocks.
And a motorcycle. I did that to myself. Let's call it a day for now.
I need a nap. That was so much.
You need to go and think about all the sins that you've committed.
Now, you go think about what you've done. Oh, that's awesome. We got some part one puns?
All right,
let's
do it.
I got Big Al Kiyam is going out of business sale. Everything must go.
What's the name?
Big Al Kiyamas.
Big Al Kiyama.
This is going out of business sale.
I judge these prices to be fair.
What do you got?
You're gonna hate to love this one. I've got a streetcar service named Trolley Yuga.
I like that. How long does it take you forever to get there? Each ride is incrementally shorter than the one before it. Okay, I've got one. This is a Judaic internet joke site called Halera Hayamim. It's mostly just meme jokes.
It's like Imgur.
It is, but it's for Judaic jokes. Halera Hayamim.
I got one more.
Oh, sweet.
I've got a gentleman's club called Maya Playa.
Playa.
Not Maya Treya. Maya Playa. That again, a weak dismount.
It's a pun. What do you want? We're just lucky to make it off the horse.
So we actually got a pun this week.
Yes, sweet, delicious puns.
Here's the pun sound.
Triumph of children.
Those children are so happy. You see, you guys, you make children happy when you send puns in. This one is from Kentucky native. Hey,
what up?
Holla, Kentucky.
Go Bowling Green. I don't know anything about Kentucky.
Well,
sorry.
there is a Bowling Green in Kentucky. It's good enough. This is a pun based on our channeling episode.
Sweet.
And it says, it's a lamp reading shop called Light to Medium. Well done. That one bites off a couple puns in the same.
Yeah, it does. That's a compound pun.
Well done, Kentucky.
Yeah, you just elevated our game. Thank you. This is exactly that. That's what we wanted to see happen.
That's how we learn.
If you have any questions about anything that you've heard today, or perhaps would you like to correct any glaring inaccuracies about our quick cliff notes of your religious beliefs,
That's right.
Please tell us, because we don't have to be right. We just prefer to be right.
Yeah, we would love that. This is a dense cookie to be gnawing on here. So if you have any corrections for us or anything to add in there that you think is cool, send it our way via that contact form on blurryphotos.org. Like us on Facebook, please.
Yeah, because we like you.
We like you. We'll like whatever you want.
Yeah. Do you have a beef jerky podcast? Because I want to hear about it. That would be awesome.
And subscribe on the iTunes.
We're available on iTunes. We're the only Blurry Photos on iTunes. Did you know that? There's no one even is trying to touch us.
Search it. Mm-hmm. We're not lying.
You can actually just put in Blurry and we come up like when it autofills. It's great. It makes me feel important, and that's what I like about it.
For now, though, we will leave you with glaring questions about what's coming next.
Yeah, just sit there, just hold tight, and don't worry, baby. We're coming back.
We'll be back.
I am the inestimable David Stecco. I said that first, and I'm drawing it out so as to give you time to think of some excellent adjectives, David Flora. And your time is up.
I'm the inconceivable David Flora.
Yeah!
Next time we're gonna hit you with some Christian eschatology and
The big one.
the big and Mayan 2012
The
prophecy.
South American elephant in the room.
Bye.